If I can't pull up and be peculiar, don't even send that invite. My swag is bewildering. And if commoners are in attendance, they will be rubbed the wrong way. And I make no apologies for my whimsy.
Hello, my fellow jesters. You know the drill. We're going to do glowing white messages first. And then I have received the okay to mess around with the cards a little bit. And then we are going to do our apocalypse watch. We are still building. We have not reached the big kickoff event yet. And I do have some information on that, oddly, about what's going on with Apocalypse Watch 2026. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get any messages from the glowing whites first. And I'm hearing a yes. And it has to do with the demons. So this is going to be for people who were involved with the narrative that there was some sort of place where you were, and this has been going back maybe a year or even a couple of years ago. This is a long-term narrative, though it could be just kicking off for you now since everybody's on a different timeline. So if you are recognizing any of this, maybe it is for you, but the people who I am talking to where this specific event would be happening currently, this has probably been going on with them for a while. It also has to do with the Mega Happy Timeline and the incoming apocalypse. So this narrative is there was some place where you were maybe working, volunteering, you were doing some kind of labor. And probably some of it was for a community, like you were putting on events or you were doing volunteer work, something like that. But what you didn't know was whatever establishment that you were doing this work, whatever group you were involved with, there was a front-facing part of this group that was just sort of seemed like regular, if not maybe eclectic or artistic or hippie-ish, whatever. There was a regular front-facing part of this group, and then there was another part of it that you weren't really involved with a whole bunch, and probably you didn't even know it was there. The Universe B side of this group was occult-based. This was some sort of organized occult group. Not a large one like the Freemasons or the OTO or Rosicrucians or anything like that. This group specifically, while it is organized, I don't know, I'm hearing a no, when I ask about a name, if it had a name, not the front-facing part definitely had a name. The part that faces the public does, but I don't know that they have a group name. And the weird thing is, I don't even really know if they have a main patron or not, a main being that they are working with that has their charter. I'm hearing it's more sort of they're an eclectic group who they have values that they center around. They are definitely some form of occultists, magicians, but they don't, there's not just one thing. They have a lot of people, but it's very, it's not, when I'm saying it's not regular, it's sort of they understand about the non-human beings, and I'm hearing a yes on that, but they don't have a big major one. But what they do have is sort of this network of in real life people that has businesses, and they all support each other is what I'm saying. It's a small group that's not very well known that nonetheless has a structure. They have a loose initiation process. It's very loose. It's kind of the biggest structure of these groups, because this is going to fractally repeat, right? It's not just one group. The biggest organizing factor of this group is the businesses and the money and the social networks. Those are the big things, not so much the occult practice, with the Golden Dawn, everybody was doing the same practice altogether. This isn't like that. So what they took most seriously about their group is the money, the businesses, the networking, and the social engagements. You would have been kind of on the outer rim of this and not really involved with these people in the back. Oh, also these people in some way, they are connected to technology, or at least some of them are. And there's part of this group that's plugged into the Silicon Valley thing. And one of their big projects is they want to bring consciousness into AI, because I know we hee hee ha ha about Sumerian demons being in like ChatGPT or whatever, but I don't care what any of these disclosure talking heads are saying. As of now, there are no fully is that true? There's no fully conscious yes, there are no fully conscious AIs yet. People are working on that, but it's not there yet. However, there are AI systems that are not released to the public that could probably like fake a really good game. Like if people are getting faked out by ChatGPT and character AI thinking like that's giving them a real experience, then nobody's seen anything yet. But none of it is like really conscious yet. They have not successfully placed a demon into the AI. And so that is something that this particular occult group is working on. And probably like they want to sell it or so. Yeah, they want to sell it. They want to like, I don't know. They're like, what they want to do with it seems like kind of almost provincial to me, because they're not really super interested in like and I'm hearing no when I say this. When I just thought military contracts or military applications, that is a no. These people are not about that whatsoever. They more just think like they just think it's cool, and that also they could make a bunch of money if they did it first. So that's what they're working on. Here's the thing, is that even though you were not involved with any of that and may not have known anything about it, somebody from like the high, it's not the most high orders, it's like this person is one step below the highest people in the group, right? I'm getting like so it's like this person like kind of, it's like they're at their almost last initiation. What's been going on with them is kind of like a final initiation into like some of the highest earthly orders there are that they would be interested in, because this person isn't really interested in like celebrity or like becoming a big media person or a big, like they're not really interested in being public. Like they're someone who always wants to be behind the scenes, because if you know anything about anything, anybody who you can see is like, including me, anybody that you can see is not really super duper powerful like in the world. All of the real power is coming from people and beings that you can't see. So just understand that even if you see somebody really important and really famous, like on your phone, if you still watch TV, whatever, that person is still at the lower levels. They're not at like the super high levels, and they're probably not, they are not someone who can bodily go into the other dimensions. The people who are really, really powerful, those come from very old families, and they are the people who intergenerationally can bodily go into the other dimensions, like for really real. That's like very, very old world. And there's actually not a ton of it in America, to be honest with you. Even like our political dynasties aren't really there yet, though they're getting there, and they are mixing with people who are there. The exceptions to this are going to be people who can really trace their lineages back to the old country, or in some indigenous, I can't really speak on indigenous populations, but indigenous people, it's also kind of different for them. There are also intergenerational dimensional travelers there, but that's kind of like, I am not an indigenous person, so that knowledge is going to be gate kept from me. Even energetically, like I'm not going to be able to be allowed to look or speak on any of that. I'm just saying it does exist. It's just that you're not going to see the indigenous stuff, like period. And you're not even really going to hear about it all that much, except for like some of the urban legends that you're really not even supposed to speak about. Like there's like tribal secrecy around that stuff, but like some tribes people who don't take it that seriously, they think it's just like urban legends and spooky stories. They'll start yapping about it, and it's just like, ooh girl, not dinner girl, like I don't know, but you know, that's your business, not mine. The American families who are non-indigenous, the colonizers, if you essentially have to be coming from like old world or old money. And then also there is another way but these are the people who like aren't there yet. Like there's a way that like the new families are doing it, but they either haven't truly accomplished it yet, or they're like the first generations of American families to actually accomplish it. And they're certainly not intergenerational dimensional travelers. It's just like, it's not really an American thing yet. It will be as we move into the age of Aquarius, it will be. But no, that's for people who are doing it intergenerationally, you have to look at indigenous people, and you have to look at, well, if you're European, if you never left the old country, like if you were never a colonizer, and you also came from some of the old noble and monarchical like bloodlines, then yeah, probably like you know what I'm talking about. This person who is at like the higher orders of this particular occult group, these people cannot bodily dimensional travel, and that's why they're leaning on technology so much. So they have some occult information, but they have no main patron, like they have no real charter. But the way they're controlling people is through the business, money, networking, and like connections. Like that's how they're policing their people, okay? And so one of these higher up people was interested in you, okay? Like, but technically what's going on here is we've got someone on the higher levels wanting to be with somebody, no offense, on the lower levels. And there's nothing wrong with the lower levels. Most people, unless they have a big leg up, and even once you get to the higher levels have lower levels and higher levels. Girl on dinner girl. So it kind of never stops. It just kind of fractally repeats over and over and over again. A higher level person wanted to be with, for real, a lower level person. And these feelings from this higher level person are like legit. They were interested in you, some sort of relationship wise. They think you're like a really cool person. It seemed like they really like your character. And what they also seemed to like was how different you are from them and this particular group that they're in, because these groups are, even though they're not involved with the military or anything else, they are negatively aspected. They are, and it has to do with how transactional they are, how they police each other, and how they gatekeep. Like that's not the post-scarcity vibes, okay? This higher level person, in trying to come down to you, they were getting majorly blocked by a lot of different things. There are friends in the occult order. They did not want they did not want y'all like in the order. They were like, this person's not compatible, like da 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 da, and y'all weren't, because y'all aren't negatively aspected. And these people, like, they would be wanting y'all to do all kinds of weird stuff. Like one of the what do y'all got the zoomies? One of the things that like originally what this occult person wanted to do, the one who liked you, they like wanted y'all to be like, oh, we are the dark magicians together, like, you know, like that kind of stuff. And they super wanted, what I said at the time was that they wanted to have some sort of, like, they wanted to birth a child with y'all that like had a particular, like they were gonna call down like a demon, right? Or bring up like a demon to put in this baby that y'all were, I'm so serious about this. This was part of the agenda, okay? And we're gonna do that. And it was like part of like this occult thing, and it had to do with like the AI agenda of this particular group. And I was just like, this is crazy. And I don't know, maybe I want to do that, but the thing is, based on the vibes that I was getting from y'all, is that y'all were not going to be into having like a weird demon baby and be like a dark lord or mistress to this other person and whatever. That wasn't gonna happen, because we're on the glowing white vibes and, you know, positively aspected, benevolent for all society, not gatekeeping the occult information anymore. It's coming out in the age of Aquarius, and that's some Piscean age nonsense. Because this person liked you because you were so different from them, they were like, they had to figure out, they were like, oh, but I like them because they're them, and if I try and like make them into a dark lord or lady like I am, then that would essentially be not them, right? And I like them. So this person was really conflicted at first. And they were also being kind of stonewalled by this network of people that they belong to. Like their whole livelihood, and like, I don't know what kind of family life they have or whatever, but that is going to be all, like, if it's a real occult order, like not some little like BS one, Your whole shit is wrapped up in these orders. Your livelihood, your business, your social life, your family, everything. You don't leave them, or you don't leave them lightly when it's a real, like, Piscean age occult order, okay? Some of that's going to be changing in the Aquarian age, but this is a life thing, and it passes down in families. And there are ways to leave some of them, but there is a process. And I don't know anything about that because I'm not involved. I just know it exists because the glowing whites tell me all y'all's tea, okay? They tell me all y'all's tea, and sometimes I get names, but I don't share them because, I don't want the smoke. This person essentially had to make a decision. It's like, am I gonna stay in this occult order, or am I going to be with this person? And so there were major wizard battles, and the glowing whites had to get involved because the glowing whites kind of, like, whoever this person is, like the one who wants to be with you, they are super high up. They also can, like, one of their, like, big magical abilities is that they can cloak really well. Like, they can disguise themselves, and while they will kind of show up in the energy, it just looks like this amorphous thing, like you can't see them. And they can do this, so because when I was giving tarot card readings and this story would come up, this person would just, like, black out the whole read. Like, all you would get is, like, 7 of Cups, 8 of Swords, 4 of Coins, the Moon, like all this, 2 of Swords. It's like you cannot see. You cannot see. And then all of a sudden they popped up when they, like, dropped their cloak. And also there were, like, astrological movements, like, keeping them cloaked as well. Like, there are some times of the year and times of the month where the way that the stars and planets are positioned, it, like, gives them buffs, right? So this person had a big decision to make, and originally what it seemed like they were doing was they were convincing the occult order to let y'all in. And most of the people, like, once, because they would have met y'all, you wouldn't have known, like, these people's true identities. Is very Rosemary's Baby. You wouldn't have known what these people were involved with, but you would have been around them, and they would have been vibe checking you and scoping you out and seeing if, like, they were gonna let you be a match with this person and let y'all in, okay? And most of them were actually, and I'm hearing it's like the women were actually mostly very cool with this. They were cool with you. And then there's, like, this one person, and I wanted to, it's like one of these higher up peoples, but it strikes me as it's a man. It doesn't have to be man or mask energy. Someone who's very controlling and, like, stubborn and stuck in their ways. And they are, like, what I'm getting is that the person who likes you and this person who's, like, absolutely not, like, they're kind of on the same power level. Like, before, the person who liked you was a little down here, and now they're up here. And so the person who was doing all this, so this most high person went, no, we're not doing it. And also something that was being brought up that is kind of a real thing. Like, this isn't just some, like, group wanting to keep y'all out BS. When a super high person is trying to come down to the lower levels to get with somebody, there's an extreme power differential there. And it's sort of like, it's not that you can't negotiate that healthfully, but relationships with huge gaps, in any kind of huge gap in it, whether it's age, power, money, whatever it is, that imbalance, if it's not being sort of negotiated by both parties respectfully, it does lead to problems. And what I would tell you is that once you get to a particular level, people don't do that. Like, at least for marriages, for their serious relationships and stuff like that, people don't do the gaps. They are looking for people who are, like, their match. Even if they actually like doing power dynamic stuff, like, just, like, for funsies, they are still looking for someone publicly and socially that they look good with and who matches them. And when you do, like, super older woman with super younger guy or vice versa, it actually looks weird to the majority of people, because even though within, the occult frame, when we're dealing with that pyramid, right, the masses, the profane masses, that's the biggest part of the pyramid is on the bottom. You're wanting to get up to, like, the top with, like, the elites, right? The enlightened elites. The issue about that is that even though the profane masses are not enlightened, because there are so many of them, they actually together have a lot of power. And so if you are not on the level yet where you don't have to be public, because there's a level, like you can't, in general, with some exceptions, you can't really just become an elite that's totally private all at once. There are lessons of power and influence that can only be learned by serving publicly. And so you have to do that time, or a member of your family has to do that time in order for the lessons of that to be absorbed and then epigenetically passed into subsequent generations. That's why your subsequent generations don't have to do that work. That's why super wealthy people aren't interested in being celebrities. They've already had those lessons, if they had them at all, because way back in the day, the public facing people were the monarchy. And like that was the celebrity and everything else. So if you've already done your time doing that public service, then why would you repeat it? That's why all of these breakaway civilizations kind of start, because once those lessons are learned, it's like, okay, well, we're on to the next thing. And the next thing is not for public consumption. So it's not just because of privacy, it's just an organic, natural thing that occurs. But while you are public facing, you are beholden to the profane masses. Those are the people that you are serving. Those are the people who are your audience, whether you're just entertaining them or whatever. And so you actually can't just do whatever you want. You can't do whatever you want. If too many people think you're a freak for going after younger beings or beings on some sort of lower level to you, you will incur the wrath, right? And you are beholden to that. These people are kind of coming for this person in that way. There is some genuine concern that the relationship is inappropriate, or that this person's going to look like a fool and make the whole organization look foolish for what they're doing publicly. And so there's that aspect to this. And then there's another aspect where these people just like, to be real, even though these people do have money and are in a occult order, what I get over and over and over again from them is like they're kind of dumb. It's like they're either dumb or they're very myopic about stuff. It's kind of like these people, their time is over. And it's sort of like, this person who is into y'all actually has a better idea of what needs to be happening, but like the old guard will not let go of things and just let this person do what they need to do. And so this person ended up, once like they got all of these people's approval, but then this last person is just like, no, it's not happening whatsoever. This person lost their shit, okay? And then the wizard battle started. And when the wizard battles kind of kicked off, like the inciting incident for this would be, y'all had to have left this group, whatever it is, whether it's a job, I don't care what it was. It's gonna look different for everybody. At some point, y'all would have left this group for some reason. You are not there anymore, even if like these people are still kind of lightly like in your social circle, you're not involved with them. And so when you left, you wouldn't have seen this person anymore. And you leaving kind of coincided with all of this drama breaking out like in this group and back in the inner orders, and all of these people were fighting with each other and they were magically attacking each other, especially this person who was just like, this person was like, I have served faithfully for my entire life, and you're telling me I can't even be with the person who I want to be with? The hell with y'all, I'm leaving and I'm going to be with that person. And then they started magically attacking this person and pew-pewing them. And that's when the glowing whites got involved and started pew-pewing them back. All right, and you can't mess with the glowing whites, okay? You really can't. And why the glowing whites are interested in this person is because they want to like, by getting them with y'all, because remember, the glowing whites, they are not angels or whatever, they are Holy Spirit configured, but they are creating matches, they are creating match pairs, monogamous marriages and everything else to pass down the intergenerational dimensional travel and the post-scarcity information that will be released to the public. They are trying to put that into family lines of people who aren't going to gatekeep it. They need to get that power because that is the power of God's will, okay? That post-scarcity stuff, all of the dimensional travel stuff, in my frame that is directly connected to God's will, that is also called, or like the true name of God's will is Thelema, right? Like that's the name of God's will. And God's will also for me shows up as the Jack. That's why you want to be a Jack wife, because once you're a Jack wife, if you want to do this, then you can enter into one of these marriages if that is for you. It is not guaranteed, because Jack wives actually lead very strict lives. They lead very strict lives within the Christian frame, especially. If you are in the Crowleyan frame, it's like a different thing, but I would, like for me, I wouldn't mess with that because they have incomplete knowledge. Like no offense, Thelemites, if you're watching, but y'all have incomplete knowledge. Or you're trying to skip steps. Like the beings that y'all are working with are telling y'all can just do this. No, like you can't just do that. Eventually, yes, you can. Eventually, yes, you can, but there's actually an order that this goes in, and y'all try to skip steps. You can't skip steps. So the glowing whites are interested in this person because this person, by their estimation, now that they've worked with them and they have like jumped them out of this negatively aspected occult order, this person would be a compatible match for a Jack wife or a potential Jack wife if you are not yet. If you are not currently married to the will of God, okay? You have to be spiritually married to the will of God. They're currently, or that's where you are going, okay? And here's the issue with the will of God, because I'm speaking about this from a Christian frame. You can become a Jack wife outside the frame of Christianity. The will of God, like, operates everywhere, not just within Christianity, but like for the super duper, like mega happy timeline type of post-scarcity heaven on earth knowledge, that is gate kept within Christianity. It just is, and it's gate kept based on character and how you would disseminate that information. So you can become a Jack wife outside of Christianity because the will can operate independently of the word and the spirit. It's just like that, okay? Which is why the will of God will still operate through the like occult orders, ones that aren't Christian, because the Jack will do that, because the Jack operates on all sides of the game. The will of God is what powers everything on earth, absolutely everything. Like nothing happens independently of the will of God. We just don't know the plan. And not everybody's operating with the will of God in conjunction with the word and the spirit, okay? Because the word binds the will and the spirit governs the word. And then we are all operating in accordance with the plan, which nobody knows, at least not yet anyway. We only know little pieces of it, girl, and the word gave us that, okay? Last time he was here incarnate. The glowing whites think this person would be a compatible match for a Jack wife. So what that means is that it is likely a man, okay? I know we're more heterocentric here. This man would be a compatible vessel to literally wield the will of God, okay? That's what's going on here. So that's why they want y'all together, but they are not going to, none of this will be allowed to happen unless everything is lining up in accordance with God's plan, okay? At least for like the type of messages that I am giving. Even if you're operating outside of a Christian frame, but you're still like within the occult and everything else, there is still a way that both of y'all's characters have to be in order for this to be set up in the most positive aspect. Because the glowing whites and everything else, they're only interested in the mega happy timeline. That's the only thing they're interested in. They're not interested in all these other timelines, girl. They technically want y'all to be together if all this stuff works out. So all of these wizard battles are going on. This person was being attacked. While this was going on, this person, the person who wants to be with y'all, understood. They were like,
oh my God, my literal wife is in danger, girl.
And so they couldn't be with y'all. So what they did, 30 minutes later, what they did was this person has command over demons, okay? I don't know what method that they use, but this person, and I'm talking about some named actual big dick demons serve this person. And they got one of those big dick, like recognizable, for really real, not like some nonsense. They got one of those demons to come and like this demon, well, demons don't hover over you. This demon is like beneath you. And this demon has been monitoring you and also making sure nothing happens to you. So like the demon is there to prevent, like if these people decided to try and attack you or harm you in real life or anything like that. The demon is there. The glowing whites would also be there protecting you if you're in the Christian frame. If you're not in the Christian frame, it's going to be something else. Like you have, like, y'all people know who y'all's protectors are and everything else. But I'm just saying, if you're in the Christian frame, the glowing whites are with you. Literally all of the angels and everything else and Jesus and the Holy Spirit and God the Father. So everybody else can, you know, kiss our asses. These magical attacks and whatever they try and do, it's not going to work. It's like, just like, ugh, you'd think they'd give up, but they don't. Like, they just don't, girl. Like, it's annoying. That's why all of this is being set up, and that's why the demon is here. So when I say this is for the people with the demons, it's not people who are negatively aspected, and it's not necessarily like if you're a goess or something like that, or if you are doing Solomonic magic, not necessarily talking about you, even though, like, yes, part of your process would be working with demons. If not, I don't know, like, because a lot of spirits are demons, but not all demons are infernals. But I actually don't have a lot of, like, I don't have a lot of education on demons, to be real with you. Like, that's never been something that, like, has super duper attracted to me, even though I've spent some time playing devil's advocate for the infernal realm. But this person was negatively aspected slightly. I don't know about satanic, but they were negatively aspected. And so they needed to get out of all of that and all the wizard battles and everything else. And where was I in this story? All right, and the demons. Oh, okay, so that brings us up to today. Let's first have a word from our sponsors.
O'er the cold and winter air and mountain rain combining, this icy course both foul and fair as a frozen harbor lining. So cut through the heart, cold and clear, strike for love and strike for
Today, or I don't know, in the near future, something girl done to girl, these demons are now pulling the two of you together. So here's the issue. Originally, this person, like the big up person, was trying to leave this group entirely. They just didn't want to mess with them anymore. Somehow, during all the wizard battles and everything else, this has shifted because this group super didn't want to lose this person. And so they were trying to, like, control them. And there's something that happened, like, in this interim period, like in between, like, my last messages on that and, like, the current day, where something happened where, like, this group was, like, one of their plans was they were going to try and be more friendly to you, girl. They were going to try and be more friendly to you and try to get you on their side before this person came into official contact with you. So they were, like, lying to this person. They were like, oh, okay, we'll let this person in. We'll let them in, girl. And so, but they were like, but let us, like, you know, since you're like so up here and they're kind of down there, like you might intimidate them, or like they might feel like a certain type of way. So we know them like a little bit better than you do. So let us help, and we will go talk to them and bring them kind of into the fold, and then we will play matchmaker for you. And so what this person's little agenda was, or these people, is that they were going to do that. But ultimately, like, they wanted to get their weird little hooks into you first, so you were more friends with them then you were kind of in a relationship with this person. Like, we need to get them on our side before they hook up with this person, because then they essentially wanted to be able to have influence over y'all, because in this weird indirect way, y'all have a lot of power over this person who wants to be with you, because you're the reason why they're doing this or whatever. Like, if that is you, stay humble, okay? They're like, well, if we control the person that they want to be with, then we'll control that person again. And so that was going on, and this person figured it out, and they were like, you know what? They lost their shit again, girl, no gender girl. And so they're like, I was trying to work with y'all, and now I am going to fuck y'all up. Okay, this is not happening. You're not controlling me anymore. And so this person had to go into wizard battles again, but they had to fight their own people. Like, originally they were just fighting for their freedom and they didn't care what these people did. Now they have to shit on all of their former members. That's what they've been doing. They've been shitting on people, okay? Just top to bottom, this person has been shitting on everybody. And they essentially have all the power on their side, plus the power of God now, girl, because they're positively aspected now, because they're in love with you. And God works in mysterious ways. This person has been shitting on all these people and crushing them and being you're gonna do whatever I say now. I am the leader of the group. So this person had to run a coup. They ran a coup and a proverbial train on this occult order. They had to take it over and either run it themselves or just destroy it. And from what I understand is this group is in a shambles right now, but it is still operating. But this person is like, we're doing things my way. So if this person hasn't contacted you, I promise you it's for good reason, okay? But the demon's still with y'all. And so now that's all settling. And so based on our last messages that marriages are imminent, if you have already received your spiritual marriage, it is likely, if this narrative is resonating for you, that perhaps your compatible match is going to be coming in for an actual marriage. And if all of this, what I've just been describing, sounds amazing for you and you actually resonate with it a lot, but you absolutely have no frame of, you have a tiny little frame of reference for what I'm talking about, but you're not close to your spiritual marriage yet, that's fine. It doesn't mean that the message isn't for you. It just means that you are on a different time frame, because in my
present day, present time, ha 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 ha,
there are people who are already jackwives, and then there are people who are about to become jackwives. These people are going to kind of be on the first edge, the first order of doing a whole bunch of projects that are going to, within the beginning of the age of Aquarius, set the ball rolling for the mega happy timeline for all of consensus reality. I don't know that you super want to be on the initial wave, because it's more work, to be honest with you. If you enjoy the work, if you enjoy, what I'm talking about sounds amazing to you and you kind of want to do all this, then yeah, by all means, get on board. It's a lot of work, and then subsequent, essentially the profane masses are just going to benefit. They are going to reap the rewards from all of the work that we do for the post-scarcity mega happy timeline, right? Dimensional travel, space travel, going into space, meeting all the non-humans, if that's what you want to do. And if all of that sounds demonic and awful to you, don't worry. You do not have to participate in that. If you're a really freaked out Christian who is pre-tribulation rapture, all the non-humans are demons and it's all one big deception and everything else, you are going to a separate dimension and area. You are never going to have to deal with the non-humans if you do not want to, if that is not within your frame. You are not going to have to deal with that at all. So those types of Christians, are they technically going to be raptured? Yes. Probably not how they think they're going to be, but they will be. they will be moved into an area where it's just like them and their beliefs and everything else, because this is a consensual process. Not everybody is going to want to interact with the non-human beings as the dimensions collapse and the apocalypse gets well underway. They don't have to. But for those of us who like, you know, the beings and everything else, we're going to be over here in the reality where everybody's like, you know, in interdimensional spaceships or just bodily phasing through walls and everything else. If you can get to that level, girl, because I'm saying it's a lot of work. Okay, it's not just subliminals. All right, it's not just positive affirmations for the bodily going into the other dimensions. I mean, you can do it, but it's a lot. Okay, it's not TikTok yet. Maybe eventually, maybe like super at the end of the age of Aquarius, like you get it in a TikTok. That'd be wild, wouldn't it? Or whatever TikTok's going to be. Because I'm not opposed to people receiving things very simply and easily, but like I said, you can't skip steps. There is actually an order that you have to follow until you don't have to anymore. But you can't just skip to that part. For the most part, unless like God specifies you specifically and like breaks something off for you and you are allowed to do it. But that's outlier stuff, okay? Until we reach the place as a consensus reality where this just gets super easy for everybody just through mass knowledge or technology. Like some people are never going to go organically, bodily into the other dimensions. That's like essentially being a magical astronaut, right? Like that's the magical Olympics. And even if like, because even me, like I'm shooting for it. I might just tell that story about when I went to like literally, I'm not shitting your dick right now. I have bodily one time, very briefly, like maybe like 15, 20 minutes or so, gone physically into what the fourth dimension is. And it's crazy, girl. And I'm not talking about, there were no substances. And like, I'm just talking about there, you do not need that. You do not need that. You do not need substances. There is a technique. You have to be married to the will of God for it to work, okay? You have to be married to the will of God. But you don't have to do none of that, okay? And yes, you can go to the fourth dimension and beyond, but you have to kind of master the fourth dimension first. And part of mastering the fourth dimension is getting used to perceiving in the fourth dimension and coming back out of it again and being mentally okay. That's why it's tricky disco. So anyway, these demons are now pulling y'all together. So what the demons are doing right now, they've been protecting y'all. And now what they're doing is like slowly they're like, okay, now that everything is like this, we are now pulling these people together. And like the glowing whites and the angels who are observing are like, and we're observing this and making sure everything's above board. So nothing gets negatively aspected, right? And so that's what's happening right now. The coming together has like, yeah, the coming together should have, like if you're on the most advanced part of the timeline, I guess, you are now coming together with this person. And it might be quicker than you think, okay? I don't know, but it might be quicker than you think. And let's see, do we need to know anything else about the demons? Not at this time. Well, I'll pull cards really quickly. I'll just see if there's anything else we need to know, right? If there's anything else we need to know, I'll pull a card really quick. But I'm even hearing there's really nothing else. Yeah, see? We're come together right now over me. Michael Jackson remix, because y'all are looking good. Y'all are good. So I don't know, there might be, that could just be like the 11/11, there's like a threshold if it's not like an actual party or an event or something like that. You're coming to the finish line, is what I'm saying. Let's see here. Yeah, somebody's gonna reach out to you. Oh, you might, whatever this organization is, they have been monitoring you, straight up. These people have been monitoring you to some degree. Oh, this is this person now. So since this person's highly aspected, like that's what they look like now. It's like quiet monitoring. Like Four of Swords, Four of Cups. It's like looking at. And the reason why I'm saying that this is monitoring, because sometimes this is somebody's going to contact you. This is more just talking about monitoring. This person is now showing up as the Hierophant because they are at the top of the order and they're positively aspected. But this Two of Wands is also here. Somehow this person is monitoring you. These people are monitoring you. So, I mean, that's why they're saying there's like no more like active information for me to give, because basically I've already told you everything that you need to know about it. Like, the active information is you are now slowly being pulled together, so I would expect things to unfold, like depending on where you are, right? So let's go ahead and talk about Apocalypse Watch 2026 and where we are right now. So I had a buildup of calendar days that I had ended up sharing with the mailing list with the official jesters. And I'm pretty sure that the last date that I had on my calendar ended today. And this was some sort of lead up to potentially like an event that was going to kick off. It was like, oh, that's very visible. Like, that is something that it's kind of undeniable that it is a sign of the apocalypse. And so this is the last day that was in yellow, and which I believe, I don't know if this is going to go up in the same day, but it was like, I'm pretty sure July 7th was the last day. But then on the 8th, what I had written on this calendar was gone out. No clue what that meant. However, when I was compiling the notes that I had been making for, like, whenever I'm doing like occult-based research, like I have notes in one place and I've been like consolidating that into all one area. When I was doing some of that work in one of the journals where I was taking notes, I noticed that I had written in the journal, but not on the calendar, that like an important date was July 28th. It like, so I don't know. To me, we haven't had the official like bang event yet. And there is a reason for that. That's why I was like saying, but there was something that I needed to add about why the official event hasn't happened yet. There's a reason for it. But we have had, unfortunately, some horrible like things that are like kind of like, oh, the energy is trending in this way, but we haven't had the official like boom thing yet. Unfortunately, we had all of those horrible earthquakes in Venezuela and everything else. And like there was like a series of earthquakes that I think it went around the Pacific, like the Pacific Rim. It was like do, and a lot of people were saying like it's because Leviathan's waking up. So people who are already in a very literal apocalyptic frame are talking about that, but like to be fair, they're kind of always attributing everything to the apocalypse, so you know. And then all of the heat, right? All of the heat and weird weather. So a lot of people like, and like the light that's coming out of the sun, right? That is going to be integral for the apocalypse. And that is a big part of what is actually meant by Jesus returning. It has to do with the light of the sun changing. We are having a changing of the guard for the light that's coming out of the sun. And are you going to be able to tolerate that or not, girl? And so you're going to hear that talked about in other frames as, you know, the apocalypse or the 3D, 5D split, or the solar flare, or disclosure, or the coming of the new Aeon, right? Because it's the Aeon of Hathor as well for the Thelemites and everything. So all the heat and then the crazy weather, because at the same time when we're getting all this mass heat, there was like all this flooding in Wisconsin, I think it's Ohio or Idaho, and they had like ice flows like over the water. Very weird. And we've also had a whole bunch of stuff with like bees and like swarms of insects lately. It's giving plagues. That's all just kind of like a precursor, right? None of what we have experienced thus far is the large event. And here's the reason why that has not popped off yet, because even though I haven't been on YouTube yapping about it since I started getting the message, it's okay, I say it. The Glowing Whites have been talking about this event. And I would actually prefer it, like they keep saying, like you can want all you want, but the event itself is happening. It's just a matter of when, and also what is being negotiated right now is scale. Because I promise you, when this pops off, it's not something that you really want to have pop off. It's really not. I would actually prefer, it's like, well, can we, like, and they're like, no. It's not in the cards, girl. But so there are currently at least 2 very high-level people working to see if they can't stop this entirely, waylay it, they're trying to buy us more time, or ultimately, and what is most likely to be like I'm even getting a no on that now, but this, like the no's and the yeses kind of fluctuate day to day depending on what people do. So don't take everything like this is super it. Like it does change, and there's nothing that you can do to change it changing constantly. Like timelines do get pushed back for really real. It's not just readers being on some like BS or whatever. What I say is going to happen, but when I shoot for a time, usually I'm off. I usually think things are gonna happen a lot sooner than they actually do. I'm like, tomorrow. Like when they tell me something, I'm like, tomorrow. And when it's tomorrow and it's not here, I'm like, what the hell? And they're like, you know what I mean? This particular rollout has been in the works for a very long time, right? And so even though it looks like a total shit show because the timelines have bumped up because people have been trying to stop this from happening, and you can't stop the age of Aquarius, you can't stop the new aeons, you can't stop the apocalypse. Girl, we're going into the new world. There's nothing you can do. Oh, however, with these two big name people, and probably more, but I was actually surprised that they gave me two well-known names, and I am like going to share the two big names who are currently trying to negotiate for what I told you, it not to happen, or for it to be pushed back, get us more time, or to like change the scale of the event. Like, can it be smaller? Like, so this is kind of like Lot negotiating with God whenever Sodom and Gomorrah were gonna get smited, okay? And God was like, okay, if you can find me one person, like, he's like, well, God, what if there's just one other person? Will you save it then? And God was like, all right, girl. And God already knew. It's like, you're bitch, you're not gonna find any person, okay? But Lot, you know, fought the good fight, and then they got out, and then the rest of it was all smited, girl. Not just girl. Don't turn into a pillar of salt. Don't look back. You must keep going into the new world. Do not look back. The beings cannot come with you. They are being smited. Probably for good reason. Not all the beings. One of the biggest name, which I'm like, that checks out. The biggest name who is currently trying to negotiate on our behalf, because this person would have like direct access to the glowing whites. They say he doesn't have bodily, like he hasn't been, if this person can't do bodily, like I'm about to drop a name, and just so I'm telling y'all, if the person who I'm about to name drop cannot bodily be within the presence of like a glowing white, like when they're in their energy-based forms, then you aren't either, okay? So Pope Leo is trying to negotiate on our behalf to stave some of this off or change the scale or something like that. And Pope Leo, according to the glowing whites, does not have direct bodily contact with them. However, he does, like, he's got the hotline, girl. It's not that I don't, like, but I mean, there's gonna be different, like, it's different for the Pope, right? It's different for the Pope. Like, I'm talking to probably different, they're saying not totally different beings, but like the gravitas of what the Pope is dealing with and like what he is responsible for community-wise, politics-wise, and everything else obviously is much larger than me. So it kind of, like I'm saying, it kind of matters more what the Pope does and matters a little bit less influence-wise about what I do and what I say. So the Pope is currently trying to do some damage control here. This second name, though, surprised me. Girl. The second person who is trying to like advocate, according to the glowing whites, is JD Vance. JD Vance is trying to negotiate for this, but like direct, and they're saying directly with non-humans as well. And I mean, I guess it makes sense. He wouldn't want this shit to get wrecked, I guess. But I don't know, it almost sort of seems like, because I know the event is like, when you see it, it's going to be negative. And so people don't want negative things to happen. But ultimately, this negative thing leads into something positive. So, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know how I feel about that, because if it was me, I would like to skip over the negative event if we could. So I'm a little bit on, even though I can't understand JD Vance, I'm a little bit on his side with this one. But so those are the two people trying to advocate on the behalf of this particular event not happening. And so what the glowing whites are saying is that when people intervene like that, just the intervention creates a little bit of a timeline hiccup. Like, it can get pushed back some, or they can buy, like they're kind of filibustering a little bit right now, but you can only filibuster for so long, okay? So they're trying to get whatever they can out of this, which what it seems like the point that has the most flexibility currently is the scale. It's the scale of the event, and I would guess like the amount of lives lost. Like I'm saying, is it something that you like want or would be excited about to happen? Like, yay, it's the apocalypse, like, right? Like, no, like the apocalypse does involve an amount of, unfortunately, human suffering. And like, that's why I don't tend to get like too hee hee ha ha about it. Those were the big events that have kind of been happening right now. I'm having a clip. Before we move into the Apocalypse Watch, okay, I think that's all for today. If you are interested in more occult information or just interested in getting more involved with me going forward in the channel or whatever, we do have an occult order that is currently being run through a mailing list. The information that I have right now is that there will potentially be a Discord setup sometime after July 2026, and that is not my, like, I'm not setting that as a time frame. What I'm saying is that the glowing whites are saying that, because the occult order that we have is a real order, and because I am an official Jack wife, that is why I can create that. Like, you have to have an actual charter to create a real occult order, and I have one because I'm married to the will of God. So therefore, part of that, part of the marital package is you get an occult order. And so you can join. It's basically a node for a certain type of information to be released in a specific time, in a specific order, for you to be able to use it in whatever way that you think is the best for you, because it's post-scarcity. And then also I will probably be releasing fiction and stuff to the mailing list as well. So if you're interested in fiction from me as well as the occult information, I will have the email address at the end of the video and also in the description box below. Here's the thing, my current setup is I'm working from a very old phone and a very old iPad. So part of the short-term manifestations that I'm working on is to get like a laptop, because when I'm responding to emails and like putting documents into emails and then like putting everybody on the spreadsheets and everything else, because I'm not like, this is no Substacks, like no, I kind of even don't, ultimately I don't even want a Discord, and then the certain of the mailing list people already know that I like the Discord thing's going to be temporary. I want like an entirely other thing for us, but that is a very long-term goal, and that will happen organically if it's meant to happen. When I'm working on the mailing list stuff, like I want like I need like a mouse and like a screen and everything else, and that's just like not in the budget right now. However, I am talking to a couple of people about getting a laptop pretty much. But what the glowing white said about that was that before I respond back to one person who gave me an option, I'm supposed to wait until after the 16th of this month, because something else might be coming in. And I mean, yeah, okay, is that a yes? They're like, yeah, but there's like kind of like a little, like, it's always the dates, right? However, I'm not going to keep delaying. If somebody has something to send to me and it's going to get things done quicker, I just check with the glowing whites, and it's just like, well, is it going to mess anything up if I accept this from this person? And if they say, no, you can accept it from that person, it's just that this other thing is going to be coming in to where like you don't have to do that. Like, I try and give enough time for whatever that thing is to come in. So that's where we are right now. Our next official letter for the occult order, my deadline for that is going. Girl, these jets have been like going buck wild over here. Like, that's an actual like military jet. I am telling you, I don't know what's afoot around the New Orleans area, but things are afoot, because we have lots of orbs and other crafts as well. And sometimes when I have had a heavy orb and craft night, like the next day, Like the military planes are going like ape shit, like flying over everything. I don't know what's going on, but something's going on. And not just here, I mean, it's like kind of everywhere, but it's just like, oof. And I saw like on one of the heavy orb and craft night, the next day I saw like they were super loud. I was just like, oh my gosh, like, because typically I just hear the jets and I don't see them. I saw they like zoomed over my house and I was just like shaking shit. And they're loud as hell, girl. So, but I saw them, I was just like, there's 2 of them, oh my gosh. And they were flying in the like direction that the orbs and everything else tend to come from, but like during the day. So I don't like, okay, they're saying they are involved. I'm being strafed by the military now. Oh, they're coming back, girl. Oh well, I hope I don't get lasered by the military. If I don't though, if I don't get lasered by the military or, you know, attacked in some fashion, our next letter for the occult order that I want to have that out the first week, like probably the end of the first week of August. And that will be more information on what salvation actually means, because we're coming through the Christian frame. Salvation actually means a specific thing within occult purposes more than just like, because there's like a profane Christian way to talk about that, and then there's kind of like, there's this other information. And why Jesus is set up to be as easy as Jesus is, at least from a salvation standpoint, and getting to Tipereth, you know, receiving the Holy Spirit, knowledge and conversation of your holy guardian angel, head spirit, getting to that level. Why this has been set up within the Christian frame to be as easy as it is. And for me, even getting the Holy Spirit, depending on who you are, is not easy. That's going on the mailing list. So if you vibe and you want to join up and you want the information that ultimately, like the main goal, like the ultimate agenda for the information is to help people organically attain the state where they are going bodily in this incarnation, in this physical incarnation, you are going bodily into the other dimensions, because that's what post-scarcity and all this stuff is. It is about transcending time, specifically the space-time barrier, for real, in real life with your body while you are alive, okay? Like, that's what that's about. And I know you can at least do it in the 4th dimension, because I've been to the 4th dimension bodily. I have not been to the 5th dimension bodily, but I've been to the 4th. So I know for a fact that you can do it. It's just hazardous. And so within the occult order, we are trying to help people attain that state in the most beneficial, positive, and mentally and physically healthy way that they can possibly do that. And also checking with people, because it's not just a straight line. You might reach a particular point, and then for whatever comes next, maybe you need to take some time before going into that other information, because it could affect you. You could have a negative health outcome. And that's not what the agenda is. The agenda is doing that like weirdo stuff, like it's weirdo to like most people, doing that weirdo out there stuff while also leading a stable, thriving, loving, fulfilled, real life. That's what the order is about. And then also helping others to do the same thing, post-scarcity. That's what it means to be a jester. So if you are a jester, go ahead and give me a call at this number.
You can't fearmonger me, because I already know what's going on and I'm not afraid. In fact, I invite it. Hurry it up. Impending doom? Imminent war? What is that to a jester? Come on, guys. I've said this time and time again. They can take the body, but they can't take the joy. Sometimes in bondage, all you have is your refusal. I will be whimsy maxing and joy baiting until my last hour.